Hey everyone, it's 10 types, and in my most recent video, I talked about the fairy type. Wait, what's the fairy type? That's not a real type. There's only 10 types. Anyways, so the deck that or one of the decks that I highlighted in that video was a deck playing this Klefki. Klefki is a card that it has a lot of text. Honestly, it's quite a lot here. But essentially, it's a Pokemon that can go from the board and then attach itself as a tool. And then you could use this to create an infinite combo here, which allowed you'd use Klefki, you'd play it, you'd get damage on it using Team Magnet Secret Base, which just says you damaged a Pokemon when you play it, and then you have a Uniclus to move the damage around off of that Klefki. From there, you can attach Klefki as a tool to a Pokemon. Then from there, you can use Weavile, and Weavile will let you return any tools in play to your hand. And then you can return, obviously, the Klefki there, and then you can play it back down. And you can keep doing this combo over and over until you get infinite damage on your board. When I say infinite damage, it's not actually infinite. I mean, theoretically, I guess you could get as much damage as you wanted and you'd like knock out all your Pokemon and lose. So obviously that's not the payoff you're looking for. The payoff you're looking for is to pull off unknown damage, which says if you have 66 or more damage counters on your bench Pokemon, and this is in the active, you can use this ability to win the game. And this is an infinite combo in the expanded format. But infinite combos aren't very common in the Pokemon TCG. Like this one here, it's banned. The other pieces are not banned. You can play. Oh, okay. Yes, Shaman EX is banned. But ignoring that, which Shaman isn't like required for the combo. The other pieces, none of the other cards are banned, as said, except for the win condition of unknown. So Pokemon doesn't really like these infinite combo decks or these decks where you set up some combo and just win. So today I'm going to be highlighting 5 more infinite combos or decks that are true combo decks that are they're all expanded. I'm pretty sure some of them are in live expanded. Some you can actually like play on live expanded. But anyways, I'm going to be going over 5 here today. As I said, some are not true infinite combos where you do something and get like infinite damage. But pretty much they all, once you set up the combo, win. One of them's actually an infinite combo, I guess, but you don't actually win. There's some different ones here, but anyways, let's hop right into the ones I haven't talked about within the last day or two on the channel. But again, if you do want to see more about this combo, you can check out the video I released on Fairy type. Wait, what was Fairy type? Okay, so the first deck we're taking a look at in full here today is actually the Flapple Infinite. The Flapple Infinite is, if you've heard of one, it's probably this one because it is pretty new. Flapple is not super new. However, it uses Force of Vitality. Force of Vitality it isn't banned. Force of Giant Plants is a card that's like Force of Vitality. It's actually stronger and would let you pull off this combo. Would it let you pull it off turn 1? I don't think it would, but it's like really, really powerful. Let's do win turn 1. Anyways, Force of Giant Plants is banned. Force of Vitality is not. However, as I said, infinite combos aren't really something you want in that Pokemon wants in the game. And this infinite combo is actually the only one where you just get like infinite damage. Well, I guess technically the unknown damage infinite combo, you also get infinite damage, but it's on your own Pokemon. So Flapple is infinite damage on your opponent's Pokemon using its ability, which again, Pokemon doesn't really want infinite combos. This card is banned. Also, I did play this. This is actually my deck list. I played this in the trainer trials. This list is like super weird. These are not like perfect lists. They're more so example lists. Some of the lists are better than others. But anyways, you have Flapple here. The reason this wasn't banned in live was because there's this trainer trial. The Tricks and Treats Tussle, I think was the name. I don't know. But anyways, you could have to play like 4 Rare Candy, 4 Switch, which is why you see those in the list. You will use Rare Candy, and I guess you can also use Switch, but they're not that good in the list. Anyways, that's why they're here. And then you can also play the banned cards. We also see actually, we don't see any other banned cards. In this form, you can also play multiple ace specs, but anyways, none of that really matters for the Infinite outside of Flapple and Force of Vitality and one other, or a handful of other cards. But anyways, the idea is to use Flapple to put 2 damage cards on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then if you do, you shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your deck. And then when you use this ability, you can then theoretically draw into Flapple again, and if you do, you can play it again. And if you keep drawing into it, you can then win. So the way this combo works, this is in live, this list here. So this combo, I believe, is better in full expanded. I mean, obviously, every deck's better in full expanded. on its own, right? But compared to the other decks, I think it is. I think it would be a little overpowered in full expanded. But you have the card that enables this on top of the payoff of Flapple and Force of Vitality. I guess also enabling it is going to be Porygon Z here with the ability Crazy Code, letting you accelerate, or I guess just attach special energy from your hand to your Pokemon as often as you like during your turn. And this is obviously it allows you to do some different things here, some pretty interesting things, because there are special energies like draw energy, enriching energy. There's also capture energy. I believe the only one you need is draw energy for the full expanded combo there, because there's also a jump luff, which is a card from, I don't know what set it's from, but I know I think X and Y era. Oh no, it's Dragon's Exalted. Anyways, this card lets you, it is a stage 2 grass, so you do need the previous evolutions, but again, you can play it on your turn, like immediately, right? If you have Force of Vitality in play, except for turn 1. So anyways, it says once during your turn, you can return this Pokemon all cards attached to your hand. The idea is then you have the full line. Again, you're not rare candying here. You can actually use rare candy with Force of Vitality. I don't think there's been too much confusion about that, but you can because of what it says on Rare Candy, not because of what it says on Forest of Vitality. Anyways, the idea is you have Jump Off, then you attach Draw Energy, which is quite simply a special energy that draws you a card when you play it. And then you can do this to draw through your whole deck, and you can do as much as you want. You can just use Flapple and then send it back into the deck, and then draw it again. Again, just using Draw Energy here. This infinite combo that I played in the video, which by the way, if you didn't see the video, I lost because I timed out, which has literally, I don't think, ever happened to me on Pokemon TCG Live before. I guess except for the game crashing, which is like different. But anyways, I like timed out of like the full 20 minutes, right? And I was like only halfway there because the way this combo works in Live Expanded is that you have to use Pidgeot V, which also is like the same thing as Flapple, but it's a basic, and then you attach 2 copies of Draw Energy to Flapple. That's going to draw your Pidgeot V and your Enriching Energy. Then you send the Flapple back into the deck, and then you attach the Enriching Energy to Pidgeot V, and then you draw the Flapple, Applin, and 2 Draw Energies. Then you send the Pidgeot V back, and it's like super long and super slow. I don't know exactly how fast the Jumpluff version of the deck is, but it is faster and more consistent. In that video, I actually like kind of whiffed the setup, but my opponent also didn't like really do very much, and then instead I like ultimately timed out. If I had infinite time, I would have won. If I had like 40 minutes, I certainly would have finished it, probably within 30 as well. But again, it's like it's slow. But anyways, you do win if you set this up right. You just do infinite damage. There's theoretical counterplay to it, I guess. I mean, I guess same thing with the unknown damage deck. You could like ability lock, and then it doesn't work. There's different types of ability lock, but there are ways to shut it down. And then on top of that, there's also, I mean, yes, there's like other forms of lock, and then there's also the like tools that stop the use of damage counters being placed on your Pokemon, or like abilities affecting your Pokemon or something like that. There's Stealthy Hood, I think is the name of it, but for the most part, there isn't really much stopping this. You could kind of get rid of the cards before they're set up, but once it's going, it does just win. Again, this is like the true infinite combo. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing else that does, at least in expanded era, that does infinite damage. I'm not really familiar with pre-expanded, like particularly much, just in terms of like infinites. I'm not sure if there are any. But moving on to the next deck here, this one is not infinite, but it's a lot of damage, and is definitely a combo. And this deck you can play Pokemon TCG Live. This one I believe I got from Trust Your Pilot, and I actually played this list on my channel. This is also pretty popular. I think at one point it was the most played deck in Live Expanded. I don't think it. I have no idea what the most played deck is in Live Expanded right now, to be honest. But this deck I think is still pretty good, and it focuses around the attack of Alolan Raichu, another attack that or another card like Flapple, which does damage spread across your opponent's board, and it lets you discard any amount of lightning energy from this Pokemon. Then for each energy discarded in this way, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon and do 30 damage to it. It's not affected by weakness and resistance, and you can also choose the same Pokemon more than once, but you don't have to. So the idea is you do enough damage to either take 6 prizes or remove all your opponent's Pokemon from the game, whichever one is easier. And yeah, you pretty much do this. I will also mention that there is a Starmie which is very similar to Alolan Raichu, but there's one crucial difference. This looks almost the same since you just go as much water energy as you want. Then for each energy card discard, in this way you do 30 to 20 points Pokemon. You can choose same Pokemon more than once or not. And then on top of that, it also doesn't hit weakness and resistance. I guess it is a different type. But yeah, there's one key difference. This says card discarded versus Alolan Raichu is just energy. So energy, if you discard an energy that provides or energy card that provides multiple energy, then that's multiple energies. It's not multiple cards, but it's multiple energy. And so you're going to be using this to accelerate a bunch of counter energies and reversal energies. This combo can be pulled off as early as turn 2, which I think is true for all the combos. There's another unknown damage combo that you can't even like do an expanded, but there's one you could do turn going first with Blastoise and RTDs in the hole, which you can't do turn going first anymore. I guess you could do it going second. I'm not even super familiar with how it works, and I know you like return energy to your hand, but anyways, that one I think wasn't as consistent. But anyways, you have this deck here, which again you can do turn 2, and there is to slow your opponent down as well. With combo decks, you kind of want to slow your opponent down. People don't like really play these decks very seriously because for the most part they're like not legal, or they're like bad, or they're in like weird formats. But anyways, you have Electrode GX here to accelerate special energies, which what this card does, it's like if you're familiar with Fortress EX and Standard, it's like that, except it's like good. Fortress EX is really bad. This card lets you knock itself out, which gives up 2 prizes, but then you accelerate any amount of energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon, except for GXs and EXs. This is capital EXs, by the way, so if using lowercase EXs, you can still accelerate there. The restriction is not much of a restriction. We'll see another deck in just a moment that actually also uses Electrode GX, but this allows you to accelerate eddy energies, not just basic energies, so you can accelerate a bunch of special energies. And we have counter energy, which is 2 energy if you're down on prizes, which you will be. You're not taking any knockouts before this unless your opponent also uses Electrode GX, and then you're giving your opponent prizes. So presumably you'll be down. I mean, you want to use 2 Electrode GXs, so you're giving up 4 prizes. Incidentally, if your opponent turn 1 going second like knocks out a 2 prizer, then you like can't really do this, and you kind of just lose. Also, if your opponent has a bench barrier, this is like a legitimate counter to this deck, and this particular list doesn't have any counter to it. There is some counterplay, but as far as I'm aware, people don't really run that. And this deck is legitimately like played in full expanded as well, a little bit at this really large expanded tournament. Here's another list. This one does have some disruption. There's a Gengar, Mimikyu, Whispering, Klefki, all disruptive cards. And then you just go into the combo. And by the way, I said this got second at how big is this tournament? At a 700-person tournament. Not like the biggest tournament ever. Speaking of the biggest tournament ever, I believe actually happened. A lot of people make videos where it's like, this is the biggest tournament ever, and they're just like lying. But I think this one is. I mean, there's like online tournaments that are, I guess, are bigger, but anyways, this is still a decently sized tournament. And as I said, there are some people who actually play expanded like in tournaments, mostly just in Japan, because again, this list is live expanded. But yeah, you pretty much accelerate a bunch of counter energies and reversal energies. You accelerate 5 energy twice, probably attach 1, I guess. So then that's going to be, we'll just say it's all the reversals, all the counters, and then 3 others. It's going to be, I think it's 21 energies, maybe like 20, somewhere around that range, which is going to be doing 600 damage. 600 damage, which I did it right. Yeah, 600 damage is like a lot. Does it win? Hopefully. It might not though. So if it doesn't win, then you lose, right? You just like lose because you can't do anything after that really, like at all, essentially. So, and you've given up like all your prizes. So it's like if you don't win off of this, you lose. It's not an instant win as in, I mean, the unknown damage literally says you win the game. Flapple literally does infinite damage. This doesn't do literally infinite damage, but it does all the damage you need to do in the entire game in one shot. This is truly a combo deck. It's a weird deck. I definitely recommend trying it out in Pokemon TCG Live Expanded. It's a really interesting experience here. We have another deck that is also, it actually also uses Electrode GX. This one is also one that, this one, I believe, was made by Uncommon Fossil. I'm not sure if he was the one who made it or he just showcased it on his channel. But this is the another deck that's kind of similar. Obviously, also using Electro GX to accelerate energies here. Here we don't see the double energies, we just see single energies that are every type. It doesn't really matter what they are. You should probably. Oh no, I was gonna say you should replace them with Prism Energy. No, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You could replace them with. It doesn't really matter. But anyways, the idea here is that you use Electrode GX. You accelerate it to. I mean, you will end up attacking with a GX. It doesn't really matter where you accelerate it, though, to be honest. You could accelerate it to, I guess, Bronzong. Bronzong has the ability that lets you move metal energy around your board as much as you want. And these energies are every type. So, or not, Unit energy is not every type, but they're all metal. So you can move them around. And then you move them off of Bronzong. Or, I mean, you could literally accelerate them to the Dialga if you wanted, which is the first attacker you're going to. Wait, no. You're attacking with Garchomp and Giratina first. So yeah, you accelerate them, and then you move them to Giratina and Garchomp there, or Garchomp and Giratina. But first, you need to play the supporter cards, Cyrus, Prism Star. Prism Stars, if you're not familiar, are cards you can only play one copy of in your deck. They're not quite like Ace Backs because you can play as many Prism Stars as you want, just different Prism Stars. And then you're able to play the supporter only if your active Pokemon is water or metal. This isn't like super hard to do, but you will need the Bronzong or Dialga in the active there. And then you can go ahead, play the supporter. Again, you do need it in the active, so you have Zero Aura GX to give you free retreat. And again, this is a live expanded deck. In full expanded, I think this deck is this deck good? I don't really know. I guess not. I'm not sure. But anyways, so you play Cyrus Prism Star, and then what this card actually does is it says your opponent chooses 2 bench Pokemon and shuffles all the other cards, all the other Pokemon and cards attached to them into their deck. So then they're left with their active and 2 bench Pokemon. If they have only 2 Pokemon on their bench before this, you don't need to play it, I guess. But it's not like there's another supporter you're going to play either. The other supporter in this list is Steven's Resolve, which is a setup supporter, but it ends your turn. So you go ahead, you play Cyrus Prism Star, and then your opponent gets rid of their bench. Not all their bench, though. They still have 3 Pokemon in play. From there, you're going to go ahead. You do have Counter Catcher. You need a Pokemon in the active that you can one-shot with Dialga GX, Origin Form Dialga GX. No, what was I saying? Origin Form Dialga V-Star. And with this, that's 220 damage, right? So that's like not that hard to do. Again, this is a combo you could pull off turn 2. This combo, if you pull it off, you will win. Again, unless your opponent has some weird counterplay, which would be, I mean, there is ability lock. Way to not get affected by the supporter. I don't even know if that exists. If it does, let me know. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And then you also have, if they have some way to so survive the Giratina Garchomp, maybe? I don't know. Garchomp and Giratina, I keep saying it in the wrong order. I think most people say it in the other order. But anyways, you have your GX attack. If you're not familiar, GX attacks are once per game attacks. If you're not familiar, V-Star attacks or V-Star powers are also once per game. However, you can use one of each every game, so you can use both. And that is very important here. You want to use G, G, and GX for 6 energy here. So you accelerate 5 with Electrode GX and attach 1. And it's psychic, fighting, which is like a lot. And then you discard one of your opponent's Pokemon and all cards attached. Did I say this right? I don't think I said this right. No, never mind. I don't know how I got this wrong. You first attack with Origin Form Dialga V-Star after you use the Cyrus Prism Star, which does 220, as I said, for 5. And then you knock something out, right? And then you take an extra turn, because that's what it does, which is super good. And then you use GG End, which discards 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And yeah, then you win, right? Because you've knocked out their 1 Pokemon, and now they have 2. Well, you discard them down to 3 Pokemon to play. You knock out 1, so they're down to 2. And then you use this. They discard 2. This doesn't knock them out or anything, but yeah, I mean they lose other Pokemon, and then they lose. This combo is like kind of weird. It's definitely. I would say it's the weirdest of the. I don't know if it's actually the weirdest, but like you have all these Pokemon of like different types and this like supporter and stuff. Honestly, some of the ones later might be weirder, but this combo is definitely powerful. I heard some people complaining about this at one point, but it's definitely a funny, weird combo here that it's not infinite, but it does win you the game, right? If you use it, you win. Then we have the next deck here. This one is also a weird combo. This one is infinite, I guess. I mean, it's not like it does infinite damage, but it does work forever. I mean, I guess Bronzong also works forever. You can just like move energy back and forth, but that's not really a combo. Anyways, so you have Eternatus VMAX here. Eternatus VMAX is a card. It's honestly pretty good on its own, but you have this ability here, which says that if all your Pokemon in play are Darkness type, you can have up to 8 Pokemon on your bench, but you can't put any non-Darkness Pokemon into play. And then if this ability stops working, as in, I mean, you can get ability locked, but again, assuming not that, if you have a Pokemon somehow get into play that's not Darkness, but previously you had Pokemon that were all Darkness, but like you couldn't play it, right? Because it stops you from playing it. So some other way this would happen. Then you discard until you have 5 bench Pokemon. So the idea is to turn this ability on and off, and then using that, you can shrink and expand your bench and loop a card here. So the card you're going to be looping is going to be Darkrai GX, which says if it's in your discard, you can put it onto your bench and then attach a Darkness energy from your discard to this Pokemon. And yeah, the idea is pretty simple, or the general idea, the payoff is you just get all your energy from your discard into play using Darkrai GX here. And you have Weavile GX, which allows you to move the Darkness energy around your board as well if you want, which is also very important because you need to be moving the Darkness energy on and off of Kecleon. Kecleon is not Darkness, but is it? It is when it has a Darkness energy attached. Specifically, if it has a basic Darkness energy attached to it, then it's Darkness. And then if it doesn't, it's not. So the idea is you move the Darkness energy on and off of Kecleon, and then you keep shrinking and expanding your bench. And then when you expand it, you get the Darkrai GX, you get the energy into play. From there, you get the energy somewhere where you want it because you move it off. Because if you don't, then it just gets lost again. Then from there, you then move the energy off of Kecleon, not onto Darkrai, because that's what you're discarding. And then from there, you discard the Darkrai, and then you, again, move the energy back onto Kecleon, and then you get Darkrai GX back into play, and then you get the energy, another energy from the discard back into play as well. This is really interesting. Honestly, the payoff just isn't super good. I mean, it like gets all your energy into play though, which like is good. I mean, it's like Gardevoir EX with extra steps kind of. The attackers honestly just aren't super good. You have I'm gonna Darkrai GX, a good attacker, but it is pretty brutal, but it's a once per game attack. They are a GX attack. Gunjin Zoroark is damage based on the amount of Darkness energy in play, but multiplier is not super high, and it's a 250 HP 3 prize basic, which isn't amazing. Honestly, I didn't even remember it was 250. I thought it was like 270 or something. That is pretty weak there. And then you have Eternatus VMAX itself, which is good, and then you have like Guzzlord and Pheasantipty EX. I don't know. I think this was my list. So this list is like kind of sketchy. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, the idea is that you just get all this energy in play. You get infinite energy, and that's the infinite part about it. And the combo is really funny. This deck was really popular when it was first like discovered, because it's a really, I mean, it's like an infinite. People hadn't really like messed with infinites at all before this point, and people are like, wow, this is crazy, there's an infinite combo in the game, despite the fact that the infinite payoff is like not super impressive. But ultimately this is really funny here, shrinking and expanding your bench. Also, I will mention regarding Dialga, the Dialga Giratina Garchomp combo, there's a deck that's similar, which is the Igglybuff deck, the Togepi and Clef and Igglybuff GX, which also is a similar idea. It's not really a combo because it's just one card. I mean, it like is a combo because it's really hard to set up. But the idea is that you get for 16 fairy energy, which is just absurd. Like obvious, it's absurd if it wasn't fairy, and it's even more absurd because it is fairy, because there's not really acceleration for it. I mean, there's like a little, but it's certainly not this good. Anyways, you take an extra turn, or like your opponent skips their turn, and then you get rid of all your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's kind of like the same thing as the other deck, where you get rid of their bench, take an extra turn, and then you knock out their only Pokemon, or get rid of them, then you win. The attack is actually like a lot worse than Dialga V-Star in terms of damage, and it's so much energy, but it is funny here. I figured I'd mention it. But then moving on to the last deck we have, this one's pretty different, honestly. It is a combo that kind of just wins you the game, but doesn't like actually win you the game on the spot. What it does is that it allows you to get rid of your opponents. Oh, this combo is also banned, I will say. This is actually a combo where a bunch of cards in the deck have been banned. Island Challenge Amulet is, I guess, the big one. It's the card the deck's named after, and what it does, this card honestly shouldn't be banned. It's like not that good. On its own, it's like meh, at best. But anyways, so what it does is it reduces the HP of the cards attached to by 100 if it's a GX or an EX, and then it gives up one less prize card as well. So it essentially turns your multi-prizers, EX as in capital EX here, then it turns your multi-prizers into single prizes kind of, which is pretty cool. Or your two prizes into, or three prizes into two prizes, which is like fun. I guess this card's seen playing in some other decks like Pikachu. I don't know. It seemed play in like some tag team decks and stuff. Green's ADP. Okay. Anyways, so you have Island Challenge Amulet here, and the idea is you attach it to Jirachi EX. Jirachi EX is honestly a pretty good card, but in terms of this deck, you attach it, and then it gets knocked out, right? It goes from 90 HP to 0, and then it gives up a prize card. And then you give a prize card to use this over and over. You also have Miss Magius. Miss Magius is banned. Yeah, Miss Magius is banned. This also can knock itself out turn 1 because there's a card that lets you evolve it. Just turn 1 essentially. And then you can like draw cards. The Jirachi and Miss Magius both have like setup utility, which is like meaningful, but a big thing is that they're knocking themselves out. And then from there, you could do this turn 1 as well, I believe at the time, because you can play supporter turn 1. So you Lieutenant Surge's strategy, which is also banned, lets you play 2 supporters, or I guess 3, including itself, and then you'll play N, and then you'll play Mars, and then your opponent won't have any cards in hand. Now because you gotten rid of all of them. And then you'll play Chip Chip Ice Axe, which lets you look at the top cards of your opponent's deck and reorder them, guaranteeing that they don't top deck anything that's going to get them out of their dead position. And then you just like attack a little bit and then eventually win. I mean, it's like you don't need to do that much to win if your opponent has nothing. Theoretically, they could have some card on board that would allow them to kind of escape this. Obviously, if they escape it, they presumably just win because they don't have any like cards in, they won't have any cards in or sorry, they won't have any. They've only what am I saying? They only have to take one more prize. Obviously, if they don't have any cards in hand, presumably they can't do that. But there are some things that can like draw them. Like if they start like a Mew EX or something, that's gonna be bad for you. But anyways, this idea is you just completely obliterate your opponent's hand. There are other ways to do this as well. There's reset stamp, and there's I don't know, there's some like other combo ways to do this, but this is definitely a combo deck. There's also Jussie and James. Is Jussie and James banned? I want to say it is. Mars is not banned. Mars is a card I always think is banned. Delinquent's banned. That's another similar discarding card. Overall, there's like a bunch of handlock cards, and these are really, really brutal. And again, well, you don't literally instantly win. You essentially win because like they can't do anything, right? Because they don't have any cards, including a top deck. Their top deck is dead. Theoretically, you could also get unlucky, or they could get lucky, and they could get a card that gets them out of their dead hand, but that's like pretty hard to do, or they're like no hand, I guess. But this is hard to do. Like a card like Mysterious Treasure, Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, these cards would often bail you out, but you don't have any other cards in hand, so they don't even bail you out here, which is like kind of crazy. And then it would need to be something like Dedenne GX or Shaman EX. Shaman EX is also banned. I think I said that, but it is banned. So and also, I don't know why so many cards in this deck are banned. Like, I feel like they could have just banned 1 card or 2 cards, and then the deck would have been like not a deck anymore. But anyways, yeah, pretty much you need to get absurdly unlucky, and you can like play multiple Chip Chip Ice Axe. What it does is it says you look at the top 3, and then you put 1 back on top. And then the rest of the cards are shuffled. So if you play it multiple times, you could theoretically change it up as well. And so, this is a very powerful combo. It's not infinite as in infinite damage or anything, but it is a combo that is able to essentially just win you the game, right? Or lose your opponent in the game, essentially. So yeah, there are some interesting combos in the Pokemon TCG, but tell me down below what your thoughts are on combos in the Pokemon TCG. If there's anything I missed as well. Obviously, it's kind of subjective what exactly counts as a combo. Or an infinite combo. I mean, as I said, you could just like use Bronzong and move energies back and forth, and that's infinite. That there is something that you can do forever. That doesn't do anything, but you could do it. And yeah, I don't actually know if there's any abilities like that in standard. I feel like there must be, but I can't think of any. Oh, there's like that Team Rocket's I want to say it's Florges, but I don't think that's right. But I don't feel like looking it up. Ultimately, though, as I said, tell me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are on these decks. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment down below any other video ideas you have. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.